Hello everyone, I'm Mark Holyoak. Montana is a state unlike any other. Over the next half hour, we're going to look at some of the issues and people that make it such a unique place. We begin with a look at the battleground over public access. As more and more people buy land and move to Montana, they're closing lands traditionally open to hunting, hiking, and other activities. But one native Montanan sold his land, so now everyone can enjoy it.
I hated to sell it. I really did.
Born and raised near the Big Hole Basin, William Whetstone is saying so long to a piece of land his family called their own for decades.
I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed coming up here, and whether I just sat here on the step or whether I hiked around, there was always something new to see. The deer, the elk, bear, and moose.
The 367-acre parcel includes a hunting cabin William and his sons built by hand that survived the 2000 wildfires.
This door was in the house that my grandfather built before 1900 down on his homestead there in Sula.
The views are grand, but the bigger public picture is just as impressive.
The reason why this property was so special, it was surrounded by state forest and other public lands.
At an elevation of 5,500 feet, the land supports the highest density of wintering elk in the Bitterroot Valley at about 1,000 animals. And that's one big reason the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation and its hunter conservation group partners got involved.
If the land is developed and broken up into housing and residential subdivision, the impacts to the surrounding lands can be quite severe, both from just the activities that the residential development brings, but fire danger, the ability to manage for the elk, the ability to hunt.
While Whetstone could have made 20 to 30% more money from other parties, he didn't want to see the land subdivided.
Anybody can come up here now. It's public property.
Montana spans more than 93 million acres and is the fourth largest state in the Union, but 2/3 of it are controlled by private landowners. Helping bridge the gap between those landowners and hunters seeking public access is a program called block management. But to make it work, first you must have a willing landowner.
If you take and sit back and complain, you're going to get nowhere.
Bill Potter's land is as Montana as it gets. Home to deer, elk, bear, and many other kinds of wildlife, it's also close to federal, state, and other private lands riddled with roads and the problems that come with them.
To keep the roads closed is to keep people with liquor, arrogance out, because that's usually where the problems are, is road hunters.
So some 30 years ago, Potter joined other nearby landowners and Fish, Wildlife, and Parks to organize one of the first block management areas.
The only way to do something like this is to get involved and see if you can make rules and regulations that fits everybody's book.
The program is designed to take the responsibilities off the landowner, and that's where we come in.
FWP manages hunters by providing limited parking, posting signs, offering access points, and compensating landowners to offset any damage caused by hunters.
We had to appeal to the good guys to help us out, and we weren't going to get this done if we didn't work them into the management plan.
For hunters, the bottom line is continued access.
It's been the last 20 years that I've been hunting in here off and on. It works real good with the ranchers, and it's just always been a good system.
For landowners, it's better control of their land and those who use it.
The benefit is that you got management.
I think it's what's commonly referred to as a win-win situation.
For FWP, a plea to all sides to keep it going.
We are running the risk with development and the high price of money of losing these places. There's becoming more and more pressure put on these landowners to either sell or get out of these programs and go into the private sector. And the only thing that's going to keep us from doing that is the good actions of the sportsmen we have.
More than 1,200 private landowners are involved in that program. Coming up, we'll spend some time in part of Montana owned by the largest private landowner in the state. A company that makes big bucks conserves a lot of land, but is also raising concern by selling off some of its holdings and closing off access. We'll be right back. Plum Creek Timber owns 1.25 million acres in Montana, making it the largest private landowner in the state. But while it goes about the business of cutting down trees, it also conserves land, all while allowing the public to have access to it. In this day and age, logging is a high-tech, expensive operation.
They've got probably in excess of $4 million of equipment in here. These are very sophisticated people doing a very sophisticated job. They're not just the old day lumberjack out in the woods cutting trees down.
As the largest private landowner in the country, Plum Creek owns 1.25 million acres of Montana and works its vast land holdings with an eye out for you.
The public's open to come recreate in their lands where they want to berry pick, hunt, fish, and welcome any time of the year. And it's something that we afford the privilege for people to do that and enjoy doing that for them.
Far from the noise of the job site, the Blackfoot River runs cool and clear through the Ovando Valley. It's part of the 88,000-acre Blackfoot Challenge Conservation Project, land Plum Creek sold to the Nature Conservancy.
They are then reselling that in turn to a couple of different public entities and some private people. The land will be kept in working farms and forests, perpetual access for the public, and then it continues to grow timber that hopefully we'll be able to purchase in the future to continue to run our mill. So it's a win-win situation.
Nearby looms the Blackfoot Clearwater Wildlife Management Area, 67,000 vital acres of winter range for elk and deer, over half of which is leased from Plum Creek and is open to camping, hunting, and other recreation. Back at the job site, logging continues in the remote woods as public opinion circulates about Plum Creek.
They're thankful for the public access. I think that rings large with most everyone because everyone seems to want to recreate here in Montana.
Plum Creek sold, swapped, or placed easements on 300,000 acres of its land for conservation purposes, but now it's shifting its focus from logging to real estate, and that has some people concerned who enjoy public access on Plum Creek land.
Acreage is a very attractive to these buyers. It's a good value. It's in a nice area, beautiful area.
Located 20 miles west of Kalispell, just off Highway 2 near the small town of Marion, you'll find the 500-acre, 60-lot Meadowbrook subdivision, Plum Creek's first try at its own development.
We're actually sold out. I heard nothing but great comments from the buyers. They really, really like it here. They're really excited about living here.
Others aren't so excited.
These lands are typically located well away from more of the public services that are being able to be provided. So being able to provide public service is a difficult task.
A lot of the lands that are sort of ripe for real estate development are also some of the best wildlife habitat.
Really work hard in the communities that we're here, talking to all the neighbors before we even start an application. We talk to all the local wildlife groups if there are some. We take into account all the sensitive areas.
Logging remains Plum Creek's major focus, but selling land for development is bringing in big bucks. In 2004, the company sold 375,000 acres for $300 million, good for 20% of its overall income. In 2005, it made $292 million in land sales. In 2006, just over 121,000 acres sold for $308 million. And Plum Creek expects to make between $330 and $350 million in land sales this year.
They are transferring into more of the real estate division.
The public has enjoyed access on Plum Creek lands for a number of years and decades. When Plum Creek land gets sold to private developers, that access is not guaranteed any longer.
It's a very conscious effort to not close off public access or to make sure there's still plenty elsewhere.
Plum Creek suffered a $4 million loss in the third quarter alone because fire scorched 41,000 acres of their land this summer. Speaking of fire, Montanans are again enjoying clean air after a summer full of choking smoke and flames that charred hundreds of thousands of acres all across the state. We'll take you inside the mesmerizing and unpredictable behavior of fire straight ahead. – 1,100 fires burned more than 900,000 acres across Montana in 2007. More evidence that fire itself remains one of the most feared, dangerous, and yet unpredictable forces known to man. Watching fire burn and hearing embers crackle, it's almost mesmerizing, and always has been.
Human beings, we've evolved with fire.
And fire continues to shape and reshape Montana's forests.
Our ecosystems here in Montana, the reason they're so resilient is because they've evolved with fire for thousands of years. I mean, native people have been burning western Montana for the last 13,000 years.
By the time the second hand reaches 12, forest fires will have burned down another 100 trees.
Many of us grew up with the fire prevention campaigns courtesy Smokey Bear. His message about human-caused fire or any fire was the same: put it out.
From 1935 till 1978, that is what we did in this country. And we're sort of paying for it now. Instead of in the lower elevation forest being a high-frequency, relatively low-intensity phenomena, now we have very large, high-intensity fires.
Like the 2000 catastrophic wildfires in the Bitterroot that burned more than 350,000 acres of federal, state, and private forest land, a massive cluster of fires that fed off of each other.
If that atmosphere is fairly unstable, then the movement of air, the air moves up from the convection of the fire, and then more oxygen comes rushing to the fire. That's why it tends to pick up energy like that.
But in this day and age, the science surrounding forest management and the attitude about fire is changing.
Over the many years, we've had the Smokey Bear image in front of the American people, and with the message that fire is bad. That is not true. Periodic fire is actually a benefit in recycling nutrients in the soil and reducing competition for water.
So as the fight to stop wildland fires continues, the message of prevention remains the same.
Please don't be careless. Remember, only you can prevent forest fires. Only you.
One of the best way fire managers fight wildfire is with fire. They make preemptive strikes with prescribed burns.
Alex is working to that draw right over there. They're just coming back about this ridge.
A plume of smoke is usually a most unwelcome sight, but this fire is an intentionally set prescribed burn.
What we try to do with fire is to reduce the amount of litter and dead material on the forest floor, and then use that also to kill trees that will provide ladder fuels, meaning fuels that are fires that can get from the ground up into the crowns of the trees.
Bruce Windhorse oversees the project. His crew of 25 firefighters burn the forest floor by hand, reducing the potential threat of wildfire.
It allows us an opportunity to be aggressive and be able to provide that type of point protection that we need to for a lot of the residents that exist just down below us in the urban intermix.
No doubt about it, burning is hot work, but when you're using fire, not fighting it, there's definitely an upside.
It's just fun, you know. It's your occupation, what you go to school for or happen to look into, so. But it's enjoyable.
Thinning is another way to reduce the wildfire threat, but just removing trees may actually make things worse.
Once we thin those stands, the surface fuels are hotter, the environment's drier, and it's certainly windier there because we've opened the trees up and there's less drag on the surface drag on the movement of winds.
As flames burn on the forest floor below and smoke rises toward the sun above, this prescribed burn is deemed a success, as firefighters use fire to prevent something that could eventually be much, much worse.
Well, you can learn to manipulate it or let it manipulate you at your choice.
Well, we all know Montana has unbelievable scenery and an abundance of wildlife. We'll pass along a musical salute to Montana's great outdoors straight ahead. That will just about do it for me. Time to head back inside and warm up a little bit. But as we put a capper on things, let's check out some of the sights that make Montana the beautifully unique state that it is. So long, everyone.